We're joined today by Mike Scherer from Agri-Solutions, and we're going to talk about moisture issues. So, Mike, thanks for joining us this morning.
It's great to be here, Bryan.
I guess it's a case of be careful what you wish for. We've wished for moisture for the last 2 years. We got 2 years worth, seems like, in 2 weeks.
That's exactly right, yes. You always hate to complain about moisture and moderate temperatures, but it's gotten a little excessive here recently, yes.
What are some of the issues that we should be facing moving forward?
Yeah, so of course these type of situations bring up lots of issues for producers, unfortunately, that certainly end up affecting crop insurance decisions and have crop insurance implications. So I guess the first thing that usually comes up for producers is getting into replant issues. You know, they've planted a corn crop, got a big rain shortly thereafter, doesn't look good, they feel like they're going to need to get in and replant. That's pretty cut and dry. Mainly you want to make sure you let your agent know before you destroy a crop or anything like that. Get an adjuster out there to look at it. What becomes more problematic usually is when you're in that situation, but you actually aren't even able to get back in that field in a timely manner to replant it to corn, let's say. So then you get into what we would call a failed crop situation. You're going to tear up that crop and maybe try to get in and plant another crop. Maybe plant soybeans after that if you haven't put any chemicals on that restrict you from that. That's a whole other category of crop insurance issues that gets really much more complex. So again, you just want to make sure you stay in good contact with your agent, let them know what you have going on so they can get an adjuster to look at those issues before you destroy a crop primarily.
What is our time frame on that? Because you drive down the road and you see corn actually underwater right now. I mean, what's our time frame that we're thinking about here?
So in most of the areas that would be watching this, May 25th would be the final plant date for planting corn actually. So once we get past that date, you still have some flexibility in terms of trying to get it replanted and you won't lose any coverage. If you don't have the corn planted yet and you plant after that day, you're going to lose a % of coverage for each day after the 25th or whatever the final plant date is in your area. And then if you don't have the corn planted and you're not able to get in, we can also get into prevented planting issues. So crop insurance does provide coverage if you're prevented from planting. So once you get past that final plant date, the producer does have the option to file for a prevented planting claim. What that does is it pays 60% of the coverage. So as a worst case scenario, it provides a pretty decent backstop for producers that aren't able to get in and plant. So we're thinking about that right now in terms of corn. We move towards soybean final plant dates, which vary quite a bit throughout the state. Hopefully it dries out before then, but if it does stay wet, we could be looking at that with soybeans as well.
Well, I know the latest USDA report came out as far as field crop conditions go, and we're well behind on soybeans.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. So,
well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about wheat and what you should be thinking about. We're watching Kansas Ag Report. See you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. GrassandGrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're joined by Mike Scherer today, and we're talking about excess moisture issues, which I can't believe we're actually talking about excess moisture issues, but we are. So, Mike, a little bit of rain probably would have been good for the wheat crop. This may not be so good for the wheat crop.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think at one point, certainly in areas we have really high yield potential on wheat, and still do in many cases, but starting to get concerned about, okay, are we at a point where this moisture is actually hurting the yield or creating disease pressure issues? So that's what we start worrying about right now. A lot of variability possibly. If it gets bad enough, or flooding issues, could obviously be looking at some wheat that isn't going to get harvested. So again, as I say all the time, you want to stay in good contact with your agent. Let them know if there's any fields that are destroyed that you're simply not going to harvest before you tear them up and try to do something else with them. When it comes to disease pressure issues and things like mycotoxin type issues that could affect the wheat quality when you do harvest it, that gets to be a really, really sticky situation in terms of crop insurance. So as you do begin harvest and taking wheat to the elevator, maybe running into some dockage issues around quality, If that gets severe, like I said, especially in terms of mycotoxins, you want to make sure you contact your agent right away about what you need to do, because oftentimes there are situations where we actually have to get an adjuster out there to pull a sample out of each load before it gets dumped into the elevator. And so that's not a lot of fun, but if you don't get everything done up front, you could really miss out on a claim issue.
How should we prepare for that? I mean, we're talking about we're not really going to contact anybody until we're starting to harvest.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. It's a dynamic situation. So like I said, if you're hearing of neighbors that maybe have taken some wheat in and had that issue, just make sure you talk to your agent about what their process is going to be on how to handle that. Like I said, if you take a load in and it's a problem, you're looking at dockage, maybe even before you dump it into the pit, make sure that you talk to your agent. Or if you have wheat going into on-farm storage, but you're hearing of issues in the area, talk to the agent and the company about what they want to do, because once that wheat again goes into on-farm storage, it kind of closes some doors in terms of quality loss issues from our perspective.
Make sure you check them out on the web, agrissolutions.com, and ask them any questions you might have. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.